GM, we are live. How is it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Graph Builders Office Hours. And we have a familiar guest here, Etienne. How are you doing?
Hi
Welcome
there.
back. How's your day
Yeah,
going, man?
yeah, it's great, going great. Happy to be back again. Talk to you guys about token API in case you missed it.
Yep. And for those of you in the audience right now, how's it going, Louis Nabul Kalaf? How are you doing? Welcome. If you have any questions, please drop them in chat. If you are watching on Graph Devs, hello. You're welcome to continue the live stream there. All questions I'll be handling through the Graph Discord. So if you want to hop in, ask questions in the Graph Discord, hello, GM Jana, Louis, how's it going? Token API is here. Yes, we're allowed. Latito, I'll pronounce that right. GM. How's it going? Drop any questions you have about Token API. Etienne is a developer with Pinax who's been working hard with Token API, and it is a very cool product. I've actually used it a few times myself to get wallet information, and just to go behind the scenes today is a really cool thing for developers to understand and really understand the power of it. So, with that being said, Etienne, would you like to take over and present on the token API behind the scenes presentation?
Yeah, sure. Can go ahead.
Awesome. I'll step off stage. If you need anything, let me know. I'll be watching and managing the comments over there. And the show is yours. Go for it, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Marcus. So just a quick background. I'm Etienne. I'm working with Pinax. I've been working for Pinax for about 2 years now. And this presentation is going to be about the new product that we've built in collaboration with the Graph players, like Streaming Fast and others, the token API. So I'm going to go over its features, what it is, and since it's builder office hours, we're also going to talk a little bit about behind the scenes and the stack, if you might be interested in it, and the whole stack powering the token API. And also a cool feature that we've added um, that I'm going to demo a little bit later related to AI. So stay tuned for that one. Um, the agenda, so I'll be covering what the token API is built on, what kind of architecture, what are the choices we made there, the features, obviously. And then there's like two demos, one which is showcasing the REST API, and one other is showcasing the AI stuff using natural language to craft SQL queries. So I'll be going over these two demos. But first off, I'm going to talk a bit about the data pipeline. What are we using to power the token API? And of course, we're using the very proven Substreams technology. What Substreams allows us to do is to extract on-chain events for ERC20 tokens, so via logs or storage changes. And we can also fill missing information if we need to. If we're missing some contract metadata for an ERC20 token, for example, we can still make ERC calls within the substream. So that's pretty powerful. Um, and so the substreams allows us to extract all that from on-chain data. And then it can also allow us to redirect it wherever we want, right? So the sync that we're using is the substream sync SQL, which is a powerful thing that allows you to basically merge all the data, all the output from your maps into insert statements for use in an external database. So we use it for, we have two processes for running the sync SQL. We have one that is dedicated to the backfilling. So think about starting from Genesis all the way to a certain block height. This is backfilling all the data, all the ERC20 token data. And we have another process that is live processing the blocks so that the substream continuously run and continuously update as new blocks are added to the blockchain. So one thing to be aware of here is the lag between the blockchain head and the actual live processing. We've actually taken steps in the very next version here of the token API to minimize that lag. And we're down to about a couple of minutes, depending on the blockchain. It's going to be variable, but for reference, I think it's about 2 minute lag between the head blockchain, the head block, and the data in Token API for Ethereum, for example. So you'll have mostly live data with a little bit of a couple minutes buffer here. And once we have all that SQL, where are we inserting all that data? We chose ClickHouse as a storage and query solution because it can do both efficiently. So it can insert a lot of rows, and it can also be very efficient at querying those rows. Because for reference, like the scale we're talking about is about billions of rows in database tables and terabytes of data. So you need a way to very efficiently query that data. And using ClickHouse, we've had some experience at Pinax with using ClickHouse internally. And we really found that using optimized indexes, we have also replication for the data to be able to handle query load. It's very, very optimized to be able to search through all that data and find just the data you need for your queries. And I've made a little schema, very simple, a very simplified view of what the pipeline looks like. So on the left here, you have the EVM chains. So currently we support 6 EVM chains. There's a seventh one that is coming in the next release. Next release should be coming very soon as well. I think next week is the target. But for now, we have 6 chains, EVM chains, Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum One, Base, BSC, and Polygon. And we're planning down the road to also add support for other types of VM chains, such as Solana and SVM chains. These will be also included in Token API, but it's kind of a separate process here. So that's work that's going to be done down the road. And the process looks like this. You're extracting the events using substreams. So we're extracting ERC20 token data and also Uniswap V2 and now V3 events in order to get price data. The substreams then using the SyncSQL dumps all of that into a ClickHouse database that is going to have a bunch of tables for each chain. So for each chain, you will have balances, transfers, prices, contracts, etc. And as you can see here on the right, this is the interesting part. We have 2 main ways of querying that data and using the API. So you have the traditional standard REST endpoints that you're all familiar with, that end users can use or that an app can use to query data. And this is limited to the endpoints that we are offering, right? Our API has certain endpoints, for example, transfers, balances, and we make SQL queries to the database to fetch the data that you need. But the second way that we've added here is related to AI, and it's using natural language to ask an LLM to make queries for you. So using your favorite LLM clients, so that can be ChatGPT desktop, Claude desktop, Cursor AI client, whatever LLM clients you prefer. If your client supports MCP, which is the protocol that is used to communicate to the LLM to extract data and send it to the LLM. If your LLM client supports MCP, you can connect to the MCP server on tokenapi.thegraph.com that is running alongside the REST API. So we have this REST API and we have the MCP server that is running to serve LLM queries. And the MCP server, I won't go into too much of the details of MCP as a protocol, but it's think about it as a very simple RPC-like protocol. It's using JSON RPC. It's really a way for LLMs to access external data. Because as you might know, LLMs are trained on a certain set of training data, and that's all they're going to know. If your data is not included in the training set, the LLM wouldn't be able to figure it out. You will see that in certain models, you'll have a cutoff date for the knowledge, for example, and everything past that is like beyond access, or maybe the LLM will hallucinate some answers. So MCP is a way for the LLM to use tools and remote calls to fetch actual data from somewhere else, from external sources. And what we provide with the Token API is a source of data for all your ERC20 token needs or all your price needs for tokens on different blockchains. So that's the basic architecture. I'm going to go back to my slides real quick. So yeah, this is the token API features, basically. Familiar REST API endpoints, so balances, current balances. We also have historical balances that are coming in the next release. For transfers, you have access to historical transfers up to 180 days, so about 6 months of historical data there. You have token holders, you have contract metadata, you have prices, and OHLC. So think about the candlesticks charts. You have aggregating hourly aggregates, 4 hours, daily, and weekly aggregates. And this is currently using only Uniswap v2 data in the current version of the API. Next version is going to include also Uniswap v3. And as we go along, we're going to add more and more dexes, so that will make the prices more accurate as well, because we're taking more trading data into account for those prices. So this is REST API, and the second one is MCP. So directly access the ClickHouse databases and tables using LLMs. Natural language for querying information. The LLM will translate all that to SQL, use the right tools, and do all that stuff for you. So you can really focus on extracting like insights and knowledge and presenting the data instead of trying to fetch it. And a little warning here regarding using LLMs is maybe the general warning of using LLMs is that you can lead to variable results depending on the LLM, the type of LLM you use. Maybe some of them are more suited to make that kind of analysis than others. We found that Claude is very, very good at crafting SQL and at being very well, it's very performant model. Just ChatGPT also, and it can lead also to variable results depending on like your subscription. I would say, like if you have a free tier versus a pro tier, you will be more limited into the terms of analysis you can make within the LLM. So something to be aware of. So I'll go ahead with the quick REST API demo. So on the left here, you have a QR code for the Graph Docs, and you can find all the information to get started with Token API on the Graph Docs as well, whether it be with the REST API or MCP. On the right is the demo I'm going to be showcasing. So it's a graph and a dashboard, basically, that we just use to showcase what you could build using the traditional REST endpoints, right? So this is a standard dashboard that you might build. You have your pricing, you have your volume. This is for the native token, so the native ERC20 token for each chain. So for example, on Ethereum, this is wrapped ETH. And you get all that data in a nice dashboard. You have the OHLC here on the bottom. And you can select the interval if you want a weekly interval or daily. You can also switch chains. So on BSC, the token will be the wrapped BNB. This is the kind of the native wrapped token. And you can change the time window here on the right using standard Grafana kind of interface. And this is all updated live from the REST API. So this is just a quick example to showcase what types of data is available, what kind of thing you could build. And again, for prices, I want to emphasize that you might find some outliers in the data. This is because sometimes you have very low volume on the Uniswap v2 trades. As we add more dexes, prices are going to get more and more accurate, especially for the OHLC prices. So this is the demo for REST API, and I want to emphasize the demo on the LLM part. So I'm going to skip to that now. So as I've said, we have a few instructions on different LLM clients on the Graph Docs. We have Claude Desktop, Client, and Cursor. The setup is going to be mostly the same for all of them, but there might be slight differences in terms of the settings or where to find the settings. So for Claude, this is what the Claude Desktop app looks like. And how do you know that you have MCP on Claude? You can see here the little hammer. And also here you can see the attach from MCP connection here. And you can actually see which MCP server you have installed, okay? So this is the version of the Pinax MCP. I'm actually running it locally here. So let me showcase the tools that we provide to the LLM. So we have, as I've said, we have like 4 basic tools for the LLM that it can use in its context. So it can, for example, list the databases. It can list the tables from a database. It can describe the schema of a table, and it can run a SQL query, a read-only SQL query. So using those kind of building blocks, the LLM will figure out a way to first list databases, then list the tables, then describe a table, figure out the fields, figure out what it needs to answer your question. So I can showcase that in a chat I had. We might be able to do a live demo as well. If you guys have any prompts you want me to run, I could try to run that. This is live demo, so my things might be broken. We don't know, but this is the safe chat I've had. It works pretty well. And here's the question I asked Claude. At first, I told him, using the MCP, find me the correct contract for GRT on Arbitrum 1 and give me a list of the top 10 token holders. Then you draw a pie chart of the data with a certain color scheme, all right? So then the LLM would just figure out that it needs to use the tools in a certain kind of order, in a certain logical way to answer your query. So it says, well, first I'll check what databases are available. And what the MCP does is it responds to him saying, these are the databases available. So it sees that Arbitrum 1 is available on a certain version. Now it says it will look into the tables for the Arbitrum 1 database, and it sees that you have balances, you have contracts, ERC20, historical balances, and all of that. And it says, let's look at the contracts table structure to understand how to identify GRT tokens. So then it goes one level deeper into the database and figures out, okay, this is the table I need to use, and it gets all the fields from that table. Now, he makes a first query here to find a GRT token, but you can see there's multiple GRT tokens in Arbitrum. And if you know a little bit about how ERC20 tokens work, you know that this is kind of normal, and this is actually something to be aware of. You shouldn't trust the name of a token or its symbol. You should only trust the contract address, because anybody can make a copy of it. So what Claude figured out is that looking at the names, I can identify the graph token will be the correct one. But let me check which of these tokens has the highest activity and is the legitimate GRT token by looking at the balances. So then it's going to make another query. And this is all powered by the MCP, by the ability to make any query. So it iterates a few times on the query, but at some point it finds perfect. He found the most active GRT token is at this address, and this is the correct one, with 117,000 holders. So now it knows that this is the right graph token it should use to answer my original query about the top 10 token holders. And the nice thing about Claude Desktop is its ability to create artifacts within the chat. And I can pop them up here. So this is this is after the iteration. This is the pie chart that I asked him at first. And I get a nice pie chart telling me about all these addresses that have like the largest balance or GRT on Arbitrum 1. And I think the main use case here for that is you could also get that kind of chart real quick in a Jupyter notebook or something. But what's very powerful with LLM is that you can basically ask follow-up questions. All of this is encapsulated in your chat, and the LLM remembers everything that happens in the chat window. So you can just follow up on whatever you want to follow up with your starting point. So my follow-up was to ask about the latest transactions, the 10 latest transactions for the top token holder address. Now that I've figured out which one is the top token holder, I'm asking him as a follow-up, give me the latest transactions from that address. And again, it's using the MCP to describe the table of transactions, figure out the query, iterates a few times on the query, and then I ask him to give me a visualization, and this is what he comes up with. So he gives me like the latest 10 transfers for that address, and you can see that you have some mint some transfers. And again, if you want to transform that visualization, because this is now a table, I ask him to transform that into like a Sankey type of diagram. And this is now what it comes up. It says the net accumulation. It gives me some additional insights. So this is just an example of kind of a workflow that you can have where everything is contained within your LLM chat. You don't have to go anywhere else. Everything is fetched directly in your chat using MCP, and all of this is powered by the token API data. So this is one example use case. I've had another example use case here where I asked him to give me some details about the Poly network hack that happened a few years ago now. And you can use that to get like an analysis on sort of starting an analysis on that stuff. So I asked him about the Poly network hack. Since it's also in its training data, since it's 2021, it also add additional information on that. So he can tell me like what happened on August 10, 2021, give me some additional context. And in the artifact, I can have concrete data about how much the actor stole on each of the networks. So on Ethereum, on BSC, and I get all that free context information thanks to the LLM that has context about the attack. So it's really mixing, I guess, the best of both worlds, is giving access to real concrete data and not just anything that the LLM can hallucinate. You have real back data from token API in your analysis as well. So this is what I wanted to showcase with the LLM. I'll go back to the presentation here. Talk a little bit about our process. So we're committed to provide all information regarding our data sourcing and validation process to the community. So what that means is if you compare to other token APIs out there, like, other providers like CoinGecko or Kraken or, any other provider, it might be a little bit obscure of where they're sourcing their data. Are they using centralized exchanges for their prices or not? How are they aggregating that stuff? So for us, our philosophy here is to be fully transparent and using as much as possible the on-chain data. We're not taking anything from off-chain. We're basing our prices, we're basing everything that is happening on-chain. So that's the goal that we want to achieve here. That's what I'm saying in the second phrase here. We're committed to source all of our pricing data from on-chain activities, none from CEX partnerships or some other closed source algorithm. And we have a fully transparent data pipeline. So all the technologies we're using, whether it be substreams or anything else, all the code for the MCP, for the REST API, everything is open source. Anybody can have a look at it and take inspirations from it even. Everything is either on the Pinax GitHub or the Graph GitHub repositories. And of course, your feedback is what's going to drive where the token API is going to be going. Like, what are the features that are going to be prioritized is what your feedback is important here to drive the features we're going to work on for the next versions. Because we have an idea of where we want to go, but if you have any feedback on the current state, feel free to drop it to me or Marcus or anybody at the Pinax team or even at the Graph. And so what's next for Token API? We're planning to release the next version very, very soon, either next week or in the next few weeks. We are adding Unichain as another EVM chain. Down the road, as I've said, we're looking at Solana and SVM-based chains. And we're adding more DEX protocol support. Uniswap v3 is coming in the next release as well. And you will be able to query pool data, so per pool data, and pricing per pool as well as historical balances. So those are the next features you can look forward to. And as I've said, improvements, new features based on your feedback. So how do we get started? Again, you can go on this link, thegraph.com/docs, Token API quick start. And I'm just going to show to you guys where, because you need to authenticate with the API, either using the REST or MCP. I'm just going to show you how it's done. So when you land on the quick start page, it will tell you that before you begin, you need to get a GWT API token by signing up on the graph.market. So you can just go to the graph.market. I'll log in into my account. If you don't have one, you can just sign up. And I'll log into my Google account. And so you should land on your dashboard. In the API keys here, I already have one, but I'll create a new one. I'll call it demo. And what you want for the token is not the API key, you want the token, so the GWT token that is here. So you can just click on rotate this token, and there is the token that you need to use here. This one, it will start with the EY or something. This is the token you want to use for making REST API requests, and also when you set up your MCP, you have to use this token. And again, for the MCP, if you already kind of know how to set up your MCP and all of that, the package, the client package is on npm at pinax/mcp, so you can just install it from there. And as a quick summary, to recap here, which chains are available right now is Arbitrum 1, Base, BSC, Ethereum, Polygon, and Optimism. And which data is available? ERC20 tokens. So balances, transfers, holders, metadata, and prices from Uniswap v2. So thank you guys for attending the presentation. And if you have any questions, anything you wanna ask, feel free.
Awesome. Thank you, Etienne, for your time. Really exciting to see this product getting out there, and looking forward to more change, looking forward to the tokens, looking forward to all this expansion that you guys are doing at Pinax. Got a few questions in chat. One is a prompt. Would you be able to run a prompt just out of curiosity?
I can try. I have to actually check my setup because I don't know if
Sure,
it's running on locally or not. So let me just quickly check that.
you bet.
I'll stop the sharing and I'll come back with the sharing.
Okay, sounds good. And while you're focused on that, the maybe an easier question is in chat. There's a question about the open source license the MCP repo is currently in. Do you have any idea what the license is?
I believe it's Apache 2.0.
Okay, okay, gotcha. Gotcha 2.0. Good to know. And awesome. So while you spin that up, and it's no big deal if it's not we're not able to run the prompt right now. Uh, totally okay. Let's see. Is any other? There's a question in chat also about any Solana chains, any SVM chains they're coming. Any clue which ones?
We're not sure yet. We're going to focus on Solana itself first, for sure. This
Yep.
is really going to come down the road, probably. We are actually looking at expanding also. We're currently only looking at ERC20. We're
Okay.
looking into NFTs, so ERC 721 data as well. So that might
Okay.
come first before expanding to new blockchains.
Very cool. Very cool. Are you ready for a prompt here?
Yeah, I think we can try
Awesome.
that.
So, best trade of the day by profitability on base. Give profit made and wallet address. So, I'll state that
Would you
again.
be
Yeah.
okay?
Best trade of the day by profitability on base. Give profit made and wallet address.
Wallet address.
That's it.
Okay, so we'll try this prompt. Might need some refinements when you ask for best trade of the day. It might not have the entire context of knowing what is a trade, like what is the best trade, should we look for swap or something like that. But
Sure.
you can see that how it works here is that it asks me for the MCP tool that it wants to run. And you can
Hmm.
always choose to allow for the whole chat or allow once. So I'll
Hmm.
just say allow for the whole chat. Of course, I get an error. Not sure why.
Curious if not on base on Ethereum mainnet, just to see if there's.
Yeah, this is a connection kind of issue. So
Mhm.
the chain is not going to matter as much.
Okay,
But since I'm seeing this, it tells me that it's still it can connect. So that's why the error is kind of weird.
got it. Yeah, so the best
So I'll
trade.
just
Oh, you already got it. Yeah, I'll try it again.
copy it again, please. MCP, not real mind demo. Okay, it works. So
There we
now the list
go.
that is running, it will list the tables for base. It sees that there's a swaps table which should contain the trade information. So it's going to analyze the structure.
Mm.
If there's any profit calculation, so it needs to figure out what is a profit, like what is a profitable
Hmm.
trade. You don't have that information directly in the database. So
Nice.
now it's going to run some queries. We'll see if it figures out. So it also shows you the query. So I would say, as I say always, like LLMs is mostly, I mean, the current state right now of LLMs is mostly augmenting what you can do. So you kind of still have to be knowledgeable a little bit about what you want, what you're asking, because you have to, you're kind of the mentor for the LLM, right? You give it directions.
Hmm.
So if you know a little bit of SQL, that would help you a lot with this interactions, because you
Hmm.
can see like what is the LLM trying to do, and is it really what you're trying to do, or is it going into kind of a false path here?
Right. Right.
So it says it found what appears to be the most profitable base trade for today.
All right.
Let me get information about the tokens involved in the transaction.
Very cool.
So yeah, it figured out it needs to join with price data because we have different tables, right? We have the tables for the swaps themselves. The
Hmm.
pricing data is in another table, but it found out it needed to join those two.
Hmm.
So apparently this is the one.
There we go.
Now you'll have to check it. But since it's ERC20, you see it's gonna be like it's going to be a random token that has like a lot of profit, but maybe the token,
Uh,
you have to be a little bit more specific, I would say, with the profit prompt. You have to say
right.
profit in USDC or in
Right.
a certain, reference point, because it
That's
might
awesome.
not, yeah, it might not have the whole context.
Cool. It feels like we're getting closer and closer to real-time analytics per person, per dashboard, per individual.
Pretty much.
And that's something that I'm excited for, where we're not there yet, though I feel like we're within the next 6 months to a year, like really being able to have the exact analytics that make sense to me, because I'm going to be a different. I use tokens differently. Am in the ecosystem differently than you, and different than anybody. And what's my learning level with certain data versus someone else's learning level with certain data, and having that customizability to the user is going to be. I mean, right now it's already very, very useful. I feel like we're right there at that precipice. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I would say like keep in mind that this is a general purpose LLM that we're using here.
Yeah.
So it's not even trained as, a specific analyst kind of
Mhm.
training, or it's not directed into any direction. It has to be able to handle a huge amount of different use cases for everybody. So
Right.
when you start using LLMs that are more specialist into something, just like, regular humans, they have, jobs that are specialist into something. If you use the
Mhm.
right LLM for the right task, you will get very much better results like out of the gate without having
Yeah.
to do too much refinements.
Yeah, yeah. The next, all of these different models being released, all of these different agents, finding their way. I'm excited. I'm quite excited to see where this goes, because it feels blockchain is very well suited for this task at hand.
Definitely.
So Yeah, very much so. So, uh, Etienne, thank you for coming on again, for sharing about Token API, and I'm happy we were able to get the live stream going this time. Last time the live stream was pretty bad, and I'm happy that we're able to figure that out this time. For you and talking to the builders out there, is there anything that you'd like to say to the builders who are building in Web3? And with that, I'll let you have the last word on that before we sign off.
Yeah, well, give us your feedback is my my main recommendation here. Use it, give us your feedback, see anything you want to see, anything you don't want to see, anything you find weird, anything you find great. Any feedback would be really appreciated on this as we build more features into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Etienne. Thank you so much, chat, for being here. And thank you, everyone, for streaming on Graph Devs. If you want to go ahead and try out Token API, go to the graph.com and you'll be able to find it under products. And from there, it can get you started. The links Etienne shared in this live stream are also there. So go ahead, get building, use this new product, and from there you'll have better data to build for your users. So, everyone, thank you. Take care for another episode of Graph Builders Office Hours and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.